The European country of Georgia has announced an upgrade in bilateral ties with China to what both are calling a strategic partnership. It is part of a foreign policy shift that has seen Tbilisi friendlier to authoritarian states, including Russia. And it puts Georgia, which hopes to be part of the European Union and has been promised eventual NATO membership, on a collision course with the very European democracies it is also attempting to join. In the deal with China, Georgia commits to China's Belt and Road Initiative, the very one Italy just signaled it plans to withdraw from. Beijing promises Tbilisi preferential lending from Chinese banks for possible projects, including a new international airport, a deep-sea port, and several hydroelectric power stations. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili sealed the deal on a visit to China where he met with leader Xi Jinping.
I'm very pleased to meet you, Mr. Prime Minister. China has always regarded Georgia as a good friend and partner. No matter how the international situation changes, China is firmly determined to develop its relations with Georgia.
Georgia considerably values friendship and partnership with China, and I'm grateful to your decision to elevate our relationship to the strategic partnership, which I believe will bring concrete results which could be beneficial for both of us.
Joining us is former Defense Minister of Georgia, Tina Karisheli. She is chair of the organization Civic Idea. Thank you for coming on the program. You have called these developments, quote, alarming. What do you mean by that?
Thank you, Melissa, for having me. It's a pleasure. The biggest problem that we face with this strategic agreement or strategic treaty between China and Georgia is the confusion on the foreign political arena, on the foreign political priorities of Georgia. 2023 marks the year when we are trying to get the European Union candidate status, when we are trying to elevate our partnership with both European Union and United States. And simultaneously, suddenly, unexpectedly, Georgia announced its strategic partnership with a country that is defined by both European Union and NATO as a challenge together with Russia. Because of that, obviously, there is lots of concern in Tbilisi amongst the experts community, political circles, civil society, that it is kind of a continuation of the recent moves by the Georgian government, more towards Russia rather than its usual normal pro-Western policies. Having China as a strategic partner obviously blurs that picture of Georgian government, I would say, and I will distinguish definitely the government and the public, Georgian government's actual, real, honest aspirations towards Euro-Atlantic integration of the country.
I wonder, though, if Georgia needs infrastructure investment and China is willing to offer the money and the companies to help make it happen, then isn't it in Georgia's interest to do so, especially if the country is not getting enough investment from elsewhere, including Europe?
Well, first of all, this is not about infrastructural projects or cooperation in trade or business. We already have free trade agreement with China, actually from the times when I was in the cabinet as well. And the trade was developing pretty well. We have quite a progressive cooperation in terms of business exchange, in terms of the trade, as I've said already, the infrastructure development. All major contracts are run by Chinese companies in Georgia. Absolutely every single bid is won by the Chinese companies. There is over 100 million here. So on that level, we did not have any shortage of cooperation or joint action together with Chinese. What has changed after signing this agreement, this deal with China, is that now we moved into wider of issues, into wider range of cooperation deals that and it was before just related to trade and business and economy. Now this is about national security. Now this is about all the soft power instruments and tools China uses in different countries, being it in academia, in media, or you name it. The cultural exchanges, there is a clause about Confucius Institutes, there is a close establishment of the Confucius Institutes that we already have. We have 4 Confucius Institutes in a country, but it's obviously about development for all those activities. But most importantly, the document says that, and our Prime Minister public statements about it a couple of times while being in Beijing, both at the governmental level as well as at the Chinese-Georgian Business Forum, that Georgia is joining all major documents released by either President Xi Jinping the Chinese community for these last couple of years, being, for example, one of them, and probably most alarming for us, is joining GSI. That is understood by the entire world as a kind of anti-Western alternative agenda-setting document in terms of international relations, international politics, running security policies in this globalized world.
Well, very quickly, why is China building this relationship with a relatively small country like Georgia at this time?
Yeah, well, there are several reasons for that. Obviously, the fact that the Chinese government has this policy decision that there are no small or big countries and all countries are same important for China. Obviously, that stands as one of the reasons for that. But more importantly, with all the new infrastructure projects, with all new transit projects that run through Georgia, particularly after the war in Ukraine, Georgia gaining even more strength in its transit power for the energy, being it energy resources, trade routes, or you name it. Obviously, it is in the interest of China to have a country, even as small as Georgia is, under its arm and under its influence, than being part of bigger Western world. But it does have a transit power that attracts lots of countries and lots of businesses all around the world.
Tina Kadasheli, thank you so much for joining us.